And I didn't get a chance to explain this because of everything we were talking about in the previous episode, but there's something interesting that kind of happened. Last episode, we played on a Kelp Dome in Turf Wars. This marked the first time throughout this Let's Play that we've seen a map in all 4 multiplayer modes. We will see this for all the maps throughout the rest of the Let's Play, but this is just something that I wanted to bring to your attention. Hello everybody, my name is here to you, and welcome back to Let's Play Splatoon. In the previous episode, we played through Turf Wars. And in today's episode, we're playing through the first ranked battle mode of this game, Splat Zones. How you unlock Splat Zones in ranked battle in general. You need to be level 10 in Turf Wars to be able to play these modes. It's very understandable why they do this, because ranked battles are undeniably way more difficult and competitive compared to the Turf Wars and regular battles. So yeah, Turf Wars is built more for casual players, whereas ranked battles and Splat Zones in general are built more for competitive and hardcore players. So how Splat Zones on itself works is it's basically like a downscaled version of Turf Wars, because in Turf Wars you have to cover the entire map to be able to win, and whoever has the most turf wins the round. In Splat Zones, you cover only a certain part of the stage to make your clock go down. When you clock at 0, you will win. But there are a couple things that you want to keep in mind. If you take the zone, but then your opponents steal it away from you, you will get a penalty. You need to claim the zone for your team for a little bit longer before your clock will start being able to go back down. If you're in the lead and then they take the clock, you will go into overtime. Overtime is something very unique that only appears in ranked battles. It's very different depending on the mode, but for Splat Zones, if you're in the lead but then they take it at the last second, then you will go into overtime. How you can win in overtime is if you take back the zone at all. But if they take the zone and make the clock go below yours, they will win. Something very different about ranked battles compared to Turf Wars is that defeating opponents will help you win. Well, that also applies for Turf Wars, but actually beating opponents will give you points during ranked battles, so yeah, this is a very, very competitive mode. So the first stage that we played in this episode was Bluefin Depot. I think that's what it was called. The weird thing about that one is that I always want to think that there are 2 zones for you to claim, but that's not the case. And I can't find any evidence online as to whether or not it was going to have 2 zones, because I keep thinking there was supposed to be 2, but it's just the one on the one side. Bluefin Depot was released in June 20th, 2015, and so far we have only seen Turf Wars. This stage right here, Hammerhead Bridge, is actually one of my personal favorites. We talked about this a little bit before, but despite the fact that it looks like a leaner setup, it is actually a very fun stage. I'm not that big of a fan of it during Splat Zones, however, because you don't really have a whole lot of options on how you can get to the zone itself. Even though there are a lot of different ways that you can get to the zone normally, it just, a lot of the time, if you're in the lead, then it seems like your opponents are going to if you're trying to catch up back to the other opponents, is what I'm trying to say, then it seems like no matter what they do, they're always able to splat your entire team again. And I think the reason why I'm really not that big of a fan of this one in particular is because you have to cover such a large area of turf for your clock to be able to go down. Hammerhead Bridge itself was released on September 18th, 2015, and so far we've only been able to see Turf Wars. That's basically going to be like a running theme throughout a lot of these stages we're going to be seeing over the course of the next couple episodes, that we've only really seen them on Turf Wars. Like Mori Towers, for instance, we've only ever seen that on Turf Wars so far, and that's kind of surprising because I love that stage, and I'm really sad that we haven't been able to see that much so far, but we will in due time, and it's going to be fun. Except for the people who don't like Mori Towers. Next up is Blackberry Skate Park. Now, this one, as you can clearly see, also has the same quality drop from the previous episode, because this one was also recorded around the same time that the other footage was recorded. That's not a very good way to record. Oh, by the way, Hemorrhoid Bird is in the background. I just want to point that out because it's awesome. And I really love it when games that do that, where you can see landmarks from one region inside of another one. The best example I can think of is like Super Mario Sunshine, where you can see like Rico Harbor and Peanut Park and Corner Mountain from Isle Delfino, and it's just really, really cool. But going back to this game, enough guessing over Super Mario Sunshine and its awesomeness. So, this is Blackberry Skate Park. This was a stage that was available in the game when it was first released. It was one of the first 5 stages that were available at launch. And so far we've only been able to see it in Turf Wars. So yay, running trends will continue. So, there isn't really that much going on right now. I already described everything about Splat Zones at the moment. I talked about the history of the stages. This match right here actually goes on for a little while, so I'm going to take this time to go over the weapons for this episode. N-ZAP 85, level unlocked, 5, cost 3,500, base damage 28, range 50 out of 100, damage 27 out of 100, fire rate 75 out of 100, sub-weapon, Splat Bomb, special weapon, Echolocator. N-ZAP 89, level unlocked, 8, cost 4,200, base damage 28, range 50 out of 100, attack 27 out of 100, fire rate 75 out of 100, sub-weapon, Sprinkler, special weapon, Inkstrike. N-ZAP 83, level unlocked to 20, cost 7,000, base damage 28, range 50 out of 100, attack rate 7 out of 100, fire rate 5 out of 100, sub-weapon point sensor, special weapon Kraken. Splash-o-matic, level unlocked 7, cost 3,900, base damage 28, range 40 out of 100, attack 27 out of 100, fire rate 75 out of 100, sub-weapon suction bomb, special weapon bomb rust suction bomb. Neo Splash-o-matic, level unlocked 9, cost 6,200, base damage 28, range of 40 out of 100, attack 27 out of 100, fire rate 5 out of 100, sub-weapon burst bomb, special weapon Inkstrike. Sploosh-o-matic. Whenever I read the name for this weapon right here, I think of the guy in The Legend of Zelda the Wind Waker, who goes all like Sploosh when you miss during that one minigame. That's just what I always think whenever I read that. But anyway, Sploosh-o-matic, level unlocked to 12, cost 4,500, base damage 38, range 15 out of 100, attack 55 out of 100, fire rate 5 out of 100, sub-weapon Squid Beacon, special weapon Killer Whale. Neo Sploosh-o-matic, level unlocked 18, cost 10,200, base damage 38, range 15 out of 100, attack 55 out of 100, fire rate 5 out of 100, sub-weapon point sensor, special weapon Kraken. Sploosh-o-matic 7, level unlocked 20, cost 16,400, base damage 38, range 15 out of 100, attack 55 out of 100, fire rate 5 out of 100, sub-weapon Splat Bomb, special weapon Inkstrike. Point 52 Gal, how do you pronounce that? Level unlocked 5, cost 3,000, base damage 52, range 50 out of 100, damage 70 out of 100, fire rate 30 out of 100, sub-weapon Splash Wall, special weapon Killer Whale. Point 52 Gal Deco. Level unlocked 11, cost 4,500, base damage 52, range 50 out of 100, damage 70 out of 100, fire rate 30 out of 100, sub-weapon Seeker, special weapon Inkstrike. Point 96 Gal, level unlocked 12, cost 7,600, excuse me. Base damage 52, range 68 out of 100, damage 70 out of 100, fire rate 15 out of 100, sub-weapon Sprinkler, special weapon Echolocator, and the final shooter style weapon, .96 Gal Deco. Level unlocked 14, cost 1,600, base damage 52, range 68 out of 100, damage 70 out of 100, fire rate 5 out of 100, sub-weapon Splash Wall, special weapon Kraken. So now we've completed discussing all the shooter-style weapons. So next episode we'll begin talking about blasters, and one thing I want to say right now is that I will have the stats for all the weapons in the description below, so you can read that for yourself if you don't really feel like listening to my endless rants. So one thing that I want to say right now is I'm not entirely sure how many weapons I'll be able to fit at a time during these videos, because YouTube has kind of a dumb rule about description limits, and it's really stupid. I do struggle a lot with that during Earthbound when I want to display all the information about items and weapons and enemy stats and stuff like that. So I think 10 weapons seems like the sweet spot this time around for Splatoon. But when I was experimenting with the description limits, 10 seemed to be the sweet spot, and I just repeated myself. I'm terrible at talking, apparently. So, this episode and in the previous episode, we discussed 12 weapons at a time, so I'm not entirely sure if all the weapon stats will be able to fit in the description. If not, any leftover weapons will be posted in a pinned comment, so you can read that as well. And yay, we're back in the magical land of good quality video. Another big difference between Splat Zones and Turf Wars, as you can see right here, the bridge has already gone down to the very beginning of the stage, whereas in Turf Wars, it should wait a little while. And there's also the fact that Turf War has a 3-minute time limit, and Splat Zones has a 5-minute limit. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head whether or not Rainmaker or Tower Control has the same time limit as well. I imagine so, but I might be wrong about that. So, yeah, there's really nothing else to discuss about that. Because like I said earlier, we've already gone over most of the information about... Okay, but I don't know what I'm thinking. There is something that we can talk about here, and it's kind of a big thing. This right here is a great example of stages in Splat Zones having 2 areas they need to cover. So, I briefly touched upon this earlier with Bluefin Depot and how I always think that there's supposed to be 2 of them on there, but there's not. The Camp Triggerfist does. You need to have both areas covered in your own ink for your clock to go down. So if one team has one area covered but the other one has the other covered, neither of your clocks will go down. So I think that's very interesting that they do that, and it adds a bit more intensity to Splat Zones, and I really like it. Even if some of these matches can get a bit too intense for my taste, it still makes for some pretty fun gameplay, and it keeps these matches from getting too repetitive. So one thing that I like to say right now is a wide side to discuss the weapons in this game the way that I'm doing so far in this Let's Play. So, one thought that I had when I started thinking about doing a Let's Play of this game was to go more in detail about all the weapons in the game. But then I noticed that a certain other Let's Player was posting a lot on his social media that he was going to be playing Turf Wars for a while, and I kind of got the feeling that he was going to be doing this game, and I knew that, knowing how he does his Let's Plays, if he did do Splatoon, he would go in detail for this game. So I figured, if his Let's Play comes out before mine, then people would think that I would be copying him, and I don't really want that, and also it would make a lot of that effort kind of pointless to have somebody who's like a much better Let's Player than I am do all the work when I was planning it out. So that's something that I was really thinking about when playing out the Let's Play, so I thought, rather than go too in detail for all the weapons, I would go over basic stats like what I did with Earthbound. And I think this method works pretty well. Let me know in the comments below if you think this method works out as well. I may go more in detail about the weapons in Splatoon 2 if I ever decide to do that game. I'm not saying that I'm considering Splatoon 2 because it would be very premature to announce a Splatoon 2 Let's Play before the game is even released, because I'm recording this video the day before the game is released, so it just doesn't make any sense to be planning out a game, to be planning out a Let's Play for a game that's not even released yet. So, this match is almost over. Let's go back to the center of the map. I gotta say, doing post-commentary again is so weird, because I haven't really done post-commentary for this many videos for a single Let's Play for quite a while. I think the last time I did this was Epic Mickey? No, that's Mark Galaxy. Did I do? I did live commentary in Epic Mickey. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head when I started doing live commentary to a much greater degree or something like that. I'm not entirely sure how to word that, but basically, I used to do post commentary for a lot of my videos, and what I used to do was I would kind of commentate as if I am doing live commentary. And I kind of like fallen out of that habit because I do live commentary nowadays, and I knew going into this project that that wouldn't really be the case for this Let's Play because I didn't really want to do a lot of live commentary over online matches because like 90% of the commentary would just be me raging over the game. So that's the reason why I decided to do post commentary for a majority of this Let's Play. Although pretty soon we will be doing live commentary again, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. That's not how the song goes. I don't know lyrics, apparently. They lost control. I know I talked about this earlier, but whenever that pops up for Splat Zones, I don't know if you guys have seen the one of the more recent Muppet movies, but Animal has like anger management or whatever, and at certain points in the movie he'll be like in control. So whenever that thing pops up saying they lost control, I always imagine Animal's voice from the Muppets saying something along the lines of "We gained control" or something like that. And we defeated them. If we had just one less point, it would be 64, just like Nintendo 64. And we're the most valuable team member! Yay! And that's gonna be it for this episode of Splatoon. So, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. In the next episode, we're gonna go through the hollows of tower control. Hope you enjoy it. And next time, it'll gear to you. Oh yeah.